Welcome to Inyanda Coal. During this video, we will take you through the following: Introduction to Inyanda Coal, the general induction, 10 critical safety rules, occupational health, personal hygiene, environmental aspects, security, and access control. Inyanda Coal is part of the Inyanda Mining Holdings Group and is situated approximately 9 kilometers northeast from eMalahleni. The mine was commissioned in August 2007 and the plant in April 2008. Inyanda Coal receives run-of-mine by road from surrounding open-pit operations and is then fed into a DMS coal processing plant. Here the coal is crushed, screened, washed and sized to the specifications of the different international or domestic customers. After beneficiation, most of the product is hauled by road to Black Hill siding, where it is loaded on trains for dispatch. Inyanda Coal aims to establish and maintain a safe, healthy and environmentally compliant operation. All activities are conducted in compliance with legislated requirements and in accordance with accepted industry practices. Welcome to the general induction session of Inyanda Coal. Induction is a legal requirement as set out in the Mine Health and Safety Act. After completing the general induction, you will receive the following on-the-job training as required: site-specific induction, mine license and authorization, on-the-job training at your workplace, and training on SOPs and COPs relevant to your workplace. Site information: a map showing security, change house, main office, workshops, plant and stockyard. To manage the risk associated with pedestrian and TMM interaction, we have identified low-risk and high-risk areas. Whether you are an employee, contractor or visitor at Inyanda, it is of utmost importance that you understand the emergency procedures before entering the site. During site-specific induction, you will be informed of all assembly points and first aid stations. Visitors must be accompanied by a mine official that will assist them during emergencies. Please take note of the following: emergency contact numbers are displayed on notice boards. Fire extinguisher stations are available in all areas. First aid boxes are available at the assembly points. Assembly points are located and clearly visible and will be communicated with you during site-specific induction. Duties of the employer: ensure overall safety of all employees on the mine. Ensure adequate supply of health and safety equipment. Staff mine with skilled, competent and experienced employees. Draft codes of practices as required. Provide training. Assess and respond to risk. Rights of employees: employees have the right to a safe and healthy workplace. Employees have the right to information regarding health and safety. Employees have the right to training with regards to health and safety. And employees have the right to leave a dangerous area. A code of practice is a legal document drafted by the employer from a guideline issued by the Department of Mineral Resources. A safe operational procedure is drafted by the mine to assist employees in working safely on their day-to-day tasks. An instruction is issued by the DMR and/or the mine manager. Instructions are legal documents and must be adhered to at all times. Instructions are displayed on notice boards for a period of time, at least 2 weeks, in order for the employee to take note of it. Our employees are our greatest asset, and by providing health and safety training in these aspects, we ensure that our employees are safe. Risk assessment is the process whereby the hazards of a task, job or situation are identified. Risks are assigned to these hazards. The hazards are then put in order of seriousness or rank. Controls are put in place to address these hazards and eliminate or lower the risk in order for the work to be completed safely. Daily mini-risk assessments are conducted prior to shift or as required. No work on Inyanda Coal can be started without a risk assessment in place. Health and safety training is an ongoing process at Inyanda Coal. Our employees are our greatest asset, and by providing health and safety training, we ensure that our employees are safe. Specialized health and safety training is done by accredited external service providers. Part of training, but also a legal requirement, is the conducting of planned task observations, or PTOs. Every supervisor must ensure that PTOs are conducted. These PTOs serve as proof of competence and assist in improving our safety system. Standard operating procedures should be used as a reference when conducting PTOs. All appointed health and safety representatives are employed and obligated to conduct health and safety audits, identify potential hazards, risks and dangers, investigate incidents, make recommendations regarding health and safety, conduct inspections, and attend health and safety committee meetings. A health and safety representative shall not incur any civil liability if he failed to do anything which he may do or is required to do. The following rules have been identified to ensure that critical hazards at Inyanda are identified, communicated, and managed to ensure the safety of all employees. These rules are non-negotiable. This means zero tolerance is in place, and a breach thereof will or could lead to immediate dismissal. Inyanda has a zero tolerance to drugs and alcohol. This means that if an employee tests positive for alcohol or substance, it will result in disciplinary action. Alcohol and drugs poses a safety risk within the workplace. It affects an employee's ability to perform his or her task safely and efficiently, and he or she can endanger the safety of fellow employees. All employees, contractors, subcontractors, and visitors will undergo alcohol tests when entering the mine premises. Do not carry out a task unless you are trained and authorized to do it. Make sure every person that forms part of the task complete the mini-risk assessment booklet to ensure all risks are identified and appropriate controls are in place. Make sure the task or activity is correct. Firstly, complete the 4 steps to safety. Number 1. Is this a dangerous situation? Number 2. Will I or anybody do anything dangerous? Number 3. Are there dangerous tools or equipment being used? And number 4, am I authorized to carry out this activity? If you answer yes to any of these questions, you must stop the work and report to your supervisor. All team members must understand the risk and safety controls and sign the mini-risk assessment. Make sure all the risks have been identified and that all safety controls are in place before the work continues. If you are not sure, please report to your supervisor. When conditions change, for example, it starts raining, the risk will change. Stop the work and review the risk assessment with all team members. When you move to a different area or different task, a new risk assessment must be completed. Remember that no work will be conducted without a risk assessment in place. Use of fall restraint or arrest equipment attached to an anchorage point must occur wherever employees or contractors are required to work at a height above 2 meters whilst outside the protection of an installed access platform with handrails. Complete a proper risk assessment and ensure the fall restraint equipment being used is inspected and approved. Ensure that the fall restraint equipment is correctly fitted and has someone to inspect it before you start to work. Make sure that you have a proper anchor point for the fall arrest equipment. Ensure platforms, scaffolds, and temporary structures are only constructed by competent and authorized persons. Prevent items from falling and causing injury to others. It is against the law, MHSA and regulations, to damage or override any safety equipment, including and not limited to guards, tripwires, lockout devices, alarms, electrical devices, and PPE. Any deviation must immediately be reported and corrective action taken to ensure the safety of all employees. Make sure that you are trained and authorized to operate lifting machinery. Ensure that the area is properly barricaded. Make sure that the lifting device is capable of lifting the load and that the lifting equipment is inspected and safe for use. The load and reach must never exceed the capacity of the lifting equipment. Conduct a risk assessment with all employees involved. Positive communication must be maintained with the lifting machine operator during the lift. Ensure that you and other employees are never positioned underneath or in the drop zone of a suspended load. Make use of guide ropes to ensure that you do not stand close to lifted loads. Only trained and competent authorized persons can perform isolations. Always follow the isolations procedure. Live testing as well as 22 kV switching must be authorized by the engineer. Identify all energy sources including electrical, mechanical, potential, for example, gravity or kinetic. Make sure all energy sources have been safely isolated and energy released before working on a piece of equipment. Check and test that the right equipment and energy sources have been controlled. Ensure that all guards and safety systems are put back when the work is completed. Never enter a confined space without understanding and following the confined space procedure. Notify a responsible person before working in a confined space. Ensure there is a person who can instigate an emergency response. Notify a responsible person before working near a dam or liquid storage facility. When working around water and liquid storage facilities, always wear a life jacket and never work alone. There must be a person who can instigate an emergency response. Do not enter operating zones without approval from the supervisor to ensure that operators are made aware. Always stay 5 meters clear of moving machinery, LDVs included. Always wear high visibility clothes when entering mobile equipment operating zones. Never approach moving machinery from behind. Never use cell phones when entering mobile equipment operating zones. Always make positive contact with the operator before approaching. Make sure the machine is switched off before approaching. Only persons trained and issued with a valid Inyanda license are authorized to operate equipment. The operator must be trained and assessed by a person appointed by the responsible engineer. Operators must always have their mine license with them when operating equipment. Always adhere to traffic signs when driving on the mine. A pre-use must be conducted at the start of shift. The supervisor, the responsible person, must assist operators in conducting pre-use checks. The Inyanda pre-use check must be completed during the inspection of the machine. Red means stop. No machine may be operated with a red item. Green items must be repaired in 48 hours. All defects must be reported at the back of the pre-use in order for supervisor and mechanic to be informed. Lockout means isolate with ignition key, lock or other device. Operators must check for major oil leaks under machine and report it. A crack in a window is only a red item when it obstructs the view of the operator. It is of utmost importance that fire extinguishers are properly checked by the operator at the start of every shift. The supervisor or fellow employee must assist in checking the lights for the operator. Operators are not allowed to let a machine idle, to exit it and walk around it. The operator must submit the pre-use to the supervisor to be signed off. Before an operator can put a machine in motion, he must use the hooter to warn pedestrians in the area and make sure there are no pedestrians close to the machine. A brake test must be conducted before the start of every shift. To manage the risk associated with pedestrian and TMM interaction, we have identified low-risk and high-risk areas. Communication with operators is very important. No matter the size of the vehicle or TMM, the following procedures must always be followed by pedestrians when approaching vehicles or TMMs on the mine. Never approach a vehicle or TMM from behind. Always keep at least a 5-meter distance from the TMM. Get the attention of the operator with a two-way radio or hand signal. Make sure that he has seen you. Allow the TMM to slow down and stop before moving closer. Indicate for the operator to isolate the TMM. Only approach when it is safe to do so. Always report incidents and accidents to your supervisor immediately or before the end of your shift. Late reporting can lead to disciplinary action. All incidents and accidents must be reported and investigated. You have the right to refuse dangerous work. If work or a work area is dangerous, you can stop the work, extract all employees and report it to mine management. Do not alter or move equipment at an accident or HPRI scene without permission from the mine management. All employees are subject to undergo a medical examination, which forms part of the employer's duty to ensure that a well-monitored medical surveillance program is in place. On termination of service, you must go for an exit medical certificate. The minimum requirements as set out in the COP for minimum requirements of fitness requires an employee to be physically fit to perform his or her duty as he or she has been appointed, without endangering himself or herself or other employees. Employees may appeal or dispute findings of unfitness to perform works according to Section 20 of the Mine Health and Safety Act. No person may tamper with an occupational health monitoring device or refuse to wear it. These devices assist the employer to ensure a healthy environment for the employees to work in. A lack of hygienic conditions and hygienic lifestyle may have a serious effect on your own and other employees' health. Dirty overalls must be handed in at the mine laundry. Keep the ablution facilities provided clean and do not break any fittings. Try to keep your hands as clean as possible when touching, eating or working with food. Only eat in dedicated areas and keep the areas clean and tidy. Report any deviations to your supervisor. Inyanda Coal is committed to minimize the impact of operations on the environment and maximize the prevention of pollution caused by activities on the mine. Every line manager at Inyanda will ensure the effective management of their area of responsibility and communicate significant changes or events that can have an impact on the environment to mine management. All employees, contractors or visitors can contribute by doing the following. Report any spillages of hydrocarbon material. This includes, but is not limited to, grease, oil and paint. Do not litter, save water, and use designated waste management bins. The main functions of security are to protect physical and material assets, protecting vital and vulnerable areas, investigate crime, access control and TMM compliance at entry. Movement of property. A person wanting to take items of the mine should apply for a gate release at the stores. The gate release must identify all items and be signed by designated employees. Contractors need to supply a tool list whereby all tools and equipment can be checked. Personal belongings need to be declared when entering the mine premises. No exceptions will be made. Clock cards, both temporary and permanent, are issued by security during the visitor induction. Clock cards must be on your person at all times to ensure positive identification. Visitors will be issued with a visitor card to make identification of visitors possible. Employees who wish to bring their vehicles onto mine property will be issued with a permit through the clock card system. In order to enter high-risk areas of the mine, employees must have completed full induction and site-specific induction, completed the mine license theoretical test, be in possession of valid driver's license or certificate, have the license signed by the engineer and license card issued by security. Prohibited at Inyanda are any firearm or dangerous weapon, unroadworthy vehicles, alcohol or prohibited substances, children and non-employees. Inyanda Coal is committed to continuous improvement of the safety management system. Please assist us by reporting any deviations immediately and by providing us with suggestions or recommendations for a safer work environment.